Gotta play the music.
Here we go.
Welcome back, Nick, from your travel to foreign countries?
Correct. Travel to foreign countries,
To technically the Netherlands,
but in the Caribbean.
but in the Caribbean.
And let me tell you, it was like driving in a lawless country.
How are the Dutch? How are they?
Well, I get mistaken for Dutch frequently. But
Is it the hair?
I think it's just being the tall white male and plus the hair.
That's
But
racist.
yeah, against myself.
He's 6 foot, but if you add the hair, he's 6'4".
Correct. That's valid. So, like, literally, I think I saw one stop sign the whole time there. One. And I mean, I drove like 314 miles worth around this little fucking island in this tiny ass piece of shit truck that, like, my Mercedes 300D is faster. Confirmed.
So
It was
how
chaos
many-
everywhere. There were scooters everywhere.
How many miles per crash?
Well, that happened twice.
You had 2 crashes in 300 miles?
But the rental car was so shitty that when I returned it, they didn't even notice. The guy just walked around, and I'm like, I had to bang that back door frame with a scuba cylinder so that the door would open and close again.
It was that bad?
It was that bad, and I wish I took a picture.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it was really bad. And then I backed it over a rock.
Yeah, Jessica told me you crashed it once, but I didn't know that you had two snafus there.
Yeah, I just can't drive a truck apparently because the last truck I also crashed was a rental car, but that was a good old Chevy Silverado in the National Rental Car parking lot.
So on this one today, got a few things lined up. This is going to be similar to the format that we tried before. So we're going to go through this introduction. We're going to read a little bit of news and talk a little bit about the news. Then we'll move on to a main topic. And then finally at the end, we're going to look over some motorcycles available for sale that are a little questionable. So we'll have our comments on those. First up, we had another YouTuber. I'm going to try to say this name. We've been practicing how to say it, but I don't even know if we're practicing it correct.
Hey, I used to work for Honda. I should know, right?
Well, I don't know if that qualifies you to speak Japanese or not.
Absolutely, it does.
Oh, it's Oyasumi Sushi.
That sounds
and
right. Yeah, that's
he-
perfect.
He came into my work. Nice guy. If memory serves correct, I think his name's Josh.
Yes.
He came into work. He test rode a few of our bikes. He wanted to ride some of the Indian motorcycles, and I kept rolling bikes out for him to test ride and everything. He was there for most of the day, and he wanted to get like multiple bikes in, so he was just kind of going out over a 20-minute, 30-minute test ride, and then he'd come back and just basically swap bikes and just keep doing it. He filmed like basically the entire time because he was from about 2 hours away, so he didn't want to make multiple trips, which was super cool. I asked him if he would ever consider coming on for a remote interview onto our podcast, and he said he would. But generally, a nice fella, and go watch some of his videos to the 17 people that are going to watch our video.
17's an upgrade from 1.
We should probably put a link to his channel in the description for this video. Just pretty cool guy and everything. So mutual respect sort of thing. But on to the news. How I picked this out is, there's a lot of turmoil in the motorcycle market currently. Leftover from you have inventory overages from the pandemic where they were scrambling to make bikes, and then all of a sudden the demand just fell off a cliff and they had all these bikes sitting around. It's not just KTM that's in that predicament. A lot of folks are.
I'm seeing more and more about it recently.
Harley Davidson is currently in that situation. They're down like some 40% or something like that in sales figures year over year. Now, their CEO, their claim is he's retiring, but I'm going to guess that it was the board's decision to
retire him.
And move
Yes.
him out. I read a little bit in the article that we have. It's from Revzilla. The Silver Fox, Lance Armstrong, wrote the article, and who always does an awesome job writing the articles. I enjoy reading what Lance has to say. He kind of basically said that he's retiring, but he had been on the board of Harley Davidson since like a long time, like 07 or 09 or something like that. And then
That's a really long time for someone in that type of a position.
it is. He was on the board for a long time before he actually became CEO.
And that was I think in 2020 he became CEO.
Yeah, so he became CEO basically through the pandemic. And to be clear, in the motorcycle business, as well as a bunch of other businesses, it was pretty easy to look amazing if you were running a company. So if you were like head of whatever motorcycle company, didn't matter which one, because every motorcycle company on earth sold so many bikes over the pandemic, it was pretty easy for him to look super good to the board. The board was probably thinking like, this guy's amazing.
Because they don't realize it's just the market. It has nothing to do with what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't do anything that caused all of that. He just happened to be lucky enough to be sitting in the captain's chair while it happened. Well, now that the demand turned off and they're having trouble moving bikes and they're down X amount of percent year over year, his inadequacy is really showing. So what did you guys think about what the article said and about Harley's current turmoil?
Well, I think that they kind of brought it upon themselves. They backed into their corner of what they do and what they're good at. They had some pretty failed attempts to diversify, which honestly, I think that just goes back to their core market. It's not what they can't make something that competes with other bikes in different areas
I would say
efficiently.
Yeah, and I would say it boils down to a branding issue and a marketing issue more so than it and then it's a top down issue. It's not that they're incapable of making a good motorcycle. That's not the case at all. The issue that the motor company has is they only sell what you think of as Harleys, and they refuse to do anything different because every time they've tried something different, it's failed. And it's failed pretty spectacularly because they'd made a half-ass attempt at it, is the problem that I see.
Yeah.
They always make poor choices that I'm like, what are you guys doing? That's not appropriate for
The
that
Pan
market.
America could have been good
It could have been good
if it was not $21,000.
and it's in that class of bike, that's the price of them. So
The price was not the problem. They needed more time.
It was
that bike.
unfinished. It
was
super
slightly
unfinished.
unfinished, and it just didn't. It's like a brand new company coming out with a brand new product. Is it going to fly off the shelves the first week?
No.
It takes time for the market to get into what it's selling and kind of turn its face to be looking at that product, and they didn't give it enough time. And then they didn't have any kind of like good marketing campaign to push that bike onto people. They didn't like rally together and have all these people come out and be like, here, come ride the bike, come do this, come, have influencers come do things, create a marketing space around this bike and this new genre that they are deciding to create. And they didn't do that.
See, what I had a problem with the Pan America is Harley was moving into an established market. And it was an established market that was dominated by the BMW. Triumph tries to compete with the BMW directly head on with their Tiger 1200. And sales figures wise, it does not compete. I'm not saying it's a bad bike. I'm just saying it doesn't compete with the BMW in sales figures. The KTM, what they did, which I think is a good thing, and Ducati did something similar. They came out with a bike in that class, 1200cc adventure bike. They came out with a bike in that class, but they made it based on their brand heritage, which KTM's obviously off-road. So they made theirs like super aggressive off-road, which was different than everybody else's while still being in the same class. So they carve out their own little niche. The Ducati made theirs super sport bike like. It has, you can get a multi-shot V4 Pikes Peak edition that has 17-inch wheels. You can get the V4 RS that has like carbon wheels and
Big
stuff.
power.
Yeah, big 170 plus horsepower. I think the RS is the 200 horse motor. So it's very Ducati like. And I think that's pretty genius. Harley, the problem Harley has is Harley's not known for performance. They don't have that heritage, so they can't lean on that. And I don't think they should do like like a 900-pound bagger that's off-road.
That could be fun, though.
Well, I think if they leaned into what that bike had, which was and kind of part of what their brand caters to, they could have done a little bit of touring, kind of set it up as more of a touring kind of bike, like an over-the-road, a long haul kind of, this is what we're doing.
That's basically what the bike is, but they tried to market it as like an
off-road kind of
like,
thing, and it's that bike would not be good off-road.
No.
Jumping sand dunes in
And
the
then
desert.
if they just played with the motor a little bit and the exhaust to make it a little more aggressive and a little more, hey, this is a Harley V-twin.
You know what I would have done if I was Harley? I would have taken the Triumph approach, not the Triumph Tiger approach. I would have taken the Triumph Retro approach. You know, Triumph has the Scrambler 1200 XE. What if Harley came out with, like, no joke, like they take a Softail, do a bunch of modifications to it, and literally turn it into like what Triumph has as the Scrambler XE, but it had a Harley motor in it. I think people would go apeshit over it, and it doesn't have to perform super well. It doesn't have to. That's not the expectation. It looks like a Scrambler, and it looks cool as shit.
Well,
And then it has the big Harley V-twin in it.
I really liked, what was the other bike that was going to come out alongside the Pan America that got axed?
The Bronx.
The Bronx.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
What was that supposed to be?
It was supposed to be a Sport Naked. They were going to use the 975 motor, but I argued they should use the bigger 1250 motor. Then they axed the Bronx, and they came out with the Sportster S instead. And the Sportster S, if anybody's paid attention, has sold terribly. Like it does not do well. To save face with the Sportster S, they came out with the Nightster, and the only way they could get the Nightster to sell so far, they've lowered the price by $2,000.
What does that compare to in Indian?
The Nightster is comparable to the Scout 60 line, and the Sportster S is comparable to the full-size Scout, the 1200cc Scout, now the 1250cc Scout. But the Sportster S, the fact about it is it packs way more punch than the Scout does. I think the Sportster S is all the way up to like 150 horsepower, where the Scout's like 105. But the problem with the Sportster S is the ergonomics are just wrong. They don't feel like motorcycle ergonomics. In fact, I describe the ride position as the squatty potty, and it's not kosher.
Squatty potties are
looks-
not kosher. Yeah, we agree.
and the looks of it, it's kind of like half-ass naked bike, half-ass cruiser. So no one likes it. Like nobody who rides a naked bike likes it. No one who rides a cruiser likes it. Cruisers need that classic, like, shut your eyes, picture when I say the word cruiser, that bike that comes up, what that comes up as, that's a Harley Softail.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a cruiser looks like. And if they can't make it look like that, it's not going to sell. And the proof is in the pudding. The V-Rod didn't sell, even though they kind of grown in popularity here in the modern era, weirdly.
Yeah.
But it didn't sell well.
Everybody
in its
got
day.
over the whole, it's not a Harley, and they found out, like, oh, actually, it's a really good bike.
Nice, yeah.
Well, I've ridden them, and they're not really good bikes.
But compared to
Yes.
what it is
But
competing with.
But they didn't sell well new, which for a manufacturer, that's what
Yeah.
matters.
Correct.
Because how they do secondhand doesn't matter to the manufacturer.
Well, they all had to get sold to be secondhand, right?
They did, but they all got discounted down to nothing, and the manufacturer didn't make any money
Yeah.
on them, so they weren't a good product for the manufacturer. So I really think that instead of doing a Pan America that was a full modern liquid cooled engine, I think I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad bike. It's not. It just didn't sell well. It's not a bad bike, but there's just other options out there that are better for the same money.
They didn't they didn't have anything. They didn't have a smoking gun with that bike to sell it.
Not at all.
If you lined all of them up in a line and asked people to pick which bike they wanted, and then you had like a spec sheet in front of it that told them everything about everything, there would be nothing on that spec sheet to set that bike ahead of any of the other competition.
The big thing they came out with was the auto lowering suspension, which they were the first to do that.
And that appealed to me because that would make that bike work for me, being that it's a taller seat
Since
and
you're
a
so
wider
tall.
seat. Yeah, since I'm so tall. There was some caveats to how that system works and stuff that could be a problem, but regardless, that would be a great option for me. But I would say most people in that field, that didn't really matter. Like, there was not enough. Like, that was the only thing it had, but that wasn't enough to make them pick that over anything else.
Exactly. I think it was a neat gimmick, but it wasn't like the thing that sold the bike.
Yeah.
The thing that sold the bike was still the core of the bike, and the core of the bike wasn't as good as the other people.
Yeah. And
who-
I really
who make
like
those
that
kind of
bike.
bikes.
I do. I really, as a traditional Harley hater, I really like the
Yeah,
Pan
and
America.
it's one of those bikes that I really wanted to like.
It's neat.
But every time I ride one, which I have one at the shop currently, and it's like dang near brand new.
Yep.
It's a 2024 model year. It's the special and everything.
How much
It's-
negative equity did they have when you rolled that one in?
Did you not know about that one?
No.
Those bikes have a MSRP of, I can't remember the exact, but it's about 20,500. I think is the MSRP, and he owed $31,000 on it. This is what Harley dealers do to people. Like, it's just not. It's not cool. I think it's predatory. But getting back to the core of the Harley Davidson, instead of a Pan America, they should have come up with a scrambler that was retro and looked like it was based on a soft tail. Like, imagine a soft tail that's jacked up suspension.
Well, they
and all
used
that
to
kind of
they
stuff.
used to make dirt bikes back in the day.
Yeah, and they could lean on that. You know,
They
make-
should have leaned on that, made the scrambler
They should-
kind of been like a look like the old school kind of.
why?
'cause
If they wanted to do small,
There was a
CC,
concept of that, wasn't there, from them?
I don't know if there was or not, but if they wanted to do, and here's another thing that I think Harley needs to do, is small CC. They need small capacity bikes, and small capacity bikes, like, I know it's Harley, so they should be made in America, but
They need an $8,000 bike.
I feel like with
They
small,
need scooters.
with small capacity they could probably manufacture those overseas and then import them, but small capacity also gives them the
Sales
ability-
overseas.
sales overseas. But imagine if you will, like a 400-ish cc Harley product that had an air-cooled motor that was like pretty Harley-esque looking, even if it's a single cylinder. It was Harley-esque looking, like had the fins on it and everything.
Well, the reason I'd be against air cooled is the horsepower restriction.
Yeah, it's going to
Being a small displacement, you're going to want a liquid cooled version so that you can get the horsepower required to make the bike.
but
Go
the,
on the
perform.
highway.
but the bike that I have in mind here, what if they came out with a dual sport that looked retro like the 70s?
Yeah.
I think Harley would kill it with something like that because it would harken back to something they already made before so they can keep the brand heritage. They put the bar and the shield on the side of it. They painted it in some sort of retro 70s colorway with like the stripe with the three like red, brown,
Yep.
and yellow colors.
Mm-hmm.
You
But
could.
do you think people that wouldn't generally buy Harleys would buy that knowing that it's a
yeah.
Harley?
I absolutely think so because you harken back
Because
to
their current customers definitely would not buy that.
No, I think their current customers would.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely.
Because they owned those things back in the
Because they
70s
all
and
owned
80s.
them in the
but now they're
70s,
like
80s.
87.
Yep, exactly.
They'll still buy one.
So they'll buy it and they'll put it in their dang living room. They'll
Yep.
just look at it and they think it's cool. And if you price it right, people could do that. Like if you built it to a capacity where you could charge $5 or $6 grand
Think about
for
the
it,
secondhand
like other
market.
dual sports. You know, you're talking like that's a viable product, I think, and it allows them to put a bike out there that can be considered entry level. So you can start getting in all these young people, Gen Z, who don't have any
Yep.
money and just complain about how their college degree is useless and want student loan forgiveness. Like you could get those people on these bikes because you're not charging 40 grand for them. You're charging $5 grand for them.
So then they can get more debt.
Yeah, and whatever.
And here's the problem with basically everything that we just said is the exact opposite of what the current CEO has done.
And that's what I hated. They had, albeit misguided, they had this initiative prior to this current CEO called All Paths to Harley or All Roads to
All
Harley.
roads lead to
Yeah, I
Harley,
saw that in the
something like
article.
And that's why they tried like doing an electric bike. And like I said, misguided, but the overall idea was a good idea. I just think that they needed reined back in as far as what they're going to produce to get more people to ride
I don't think they had
Harleys.
enough time. I think
Yeah.
they made a half-hearted attempt at pushing at that avenue. That's where the Pan America came from.
Yep.
And I think the only reason the Pan America went for sale is because it was done.
And
By the time they axed the program, and they're like, "Well, we have this bike. I guess we have to sell it
Yep, they
to
already-
make our money back."
There's nothing to lose.
it was already a viable thing. They'd already spent all the money on
But they
tooling and
they
everything.
had 2 or 3 different bike types lined up. The Bronx was one. I think they had another concept for something else.
It was the
at one
Sportster.
point. And then there was the electric bikes, which aren't great, but none of the electric
No
bikes
one's
are
electric
really
bikes are great, so that's
And
par
but
for the course.
everybody else is trying it. They're trying to do these things. They're trying to figure out. They're trying to make stuff stick. They're trying to expand their market horizon. And Harley started doing that, and we all talked about this a long time ago. Started to see the light at the end of the tunnel of like, oh, we should make something for people today that want to buy today, not people
Yes.
that aren't going to be buying again. And before the project even got off the ground, I felt like they're like, oh, we're axing this, and we're getting rid of this guy, and we're bringing this other thing in, and now we're going in the complete opposite direction, and we're doubling down on building these big, huge bikes. We're gonna close the door on all these other product lines that we already have, and we're gonna eliminate so many different bikes out of our catalog, and so we're building 4 of the same motorcycle, and then they're like, oh, why isn't anything selling? Why are we blah, blah, blah? It's like, well, no wonder. When you sell one thing and the people that buy the one thing don't buy stuff anymore,
Or
this is what you get.
all of the people who would have bought that thing already own them. So
Yeah.
your market is saturated.
How many $40,000 cruisers do you think you can sell to the same person?
And I saw in the article, the article had made like a little bit of a defense of Harley in that there's been the argument for a long time that, hey, Harley customers are aging out. They're just getting too old. They're no longer going to want.
Correct.
And the article said, well, according to sales figures, the people who are financing these bikes average an age of like in the early 40s. And that's been holding true for like a long time. That's the average age of people buying these bikes. I still say, well, look at the overall sales data. The overall sales data still supports that less people are buying Harleys. I think younger people, Gen X is getting older. Millennials are now, we're knocking on.
They're like 41.
Yeah, we're 41, and but millennials are knocking on the 40s.
Sounds like you're about ready to get a Harley bagger.
And I am nowhere near wanting a Harley bagger. I have no desire to own a bike like that. In fact, we buy adventure bikes. And what's funny about that is Harley was behind the times on the adventure bikes. The 1200cc, when they invented a 1200cc adventure bike, 1200s were on the way out. Like no one buys 1200s anymore, except for the BMW GS. That one's still kind of going strong.
What about the Triumph?
No, the new one's a 13.
The Tiger.
Well, you know what I mean. But 1200 class is, technically KTM's is a 1300. It's been a 1300 for a
Well,
long
yeah.
time. But the 1200 class, it's just like the large,
The big motor.
the
You're
large
saying that
adventure
the
class.
Tiger 1200 is dying?
Well, it's never done that great.
It was on life support.
Yeah, but it's
for
never
a long
it's
time.
never done that
It
great.
sells pretty well overseas, and it's not like Triumph does bad with those bikes. They do good with those bikes. They're just not gonna match what BMW does.
Yeah,
but nobody does. Nobody else
and
does.
I've always made the argument when going up against a giant like the BMW GS is the best selling bike in Europe.
They have volume.
And when you're going up against a giant like that, you can't just try to copy what they do and put it out in the market because you're not the original. Everybody wants the original.
It'll never sell as good as the original. Yeah.
You have to come out and do one of two things. You have to beat it. You have to make a better bike and not marginally beat it. You have to smoke it.
Yep.
Which is really hard to do because the BMW actually is a good motorcycle.
And it has to have something different about it.
Yep. Or you have to undercut them in price.
That too.
And so you basically make a BMW GS, but you charge like half for it.
Like
and then,
CF Moto pricing.
and then you'll sell the crap out of them. So that's like the two ways you can go about it. And Triumph does neither of those things. They offer a bike that's similar for similar money. And everybody's like, well, I'll just go get the original. I don't want the copy.
Well, I would buy that just to not
Yeah, I know, 'cause
buy
you're
a
a Triumph
BMW.
bro.
But I'm doing it in spite. I'm a deviant. I'm not
And
the normal.
There are folks out there, the contrarians out there that simply won't buy the thing that's popular because it's popular.
Duh.
They want to be different. So and brands do capitalize on that. They understand that is part of the market, but you have to also understand that you're not going to sell in any kind of volume like the original does.
Well, no. If they sell large volumes of them, then they themselves
They're
become
not going to be
mainstream.
special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an oxymoron. It's a problem that can't sustain.
Yep. So but I think this current CEO and Harley Bros made a huge deal about this current CEO implementing some DEI sort of.
I don't care about that.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It just
It's
make
their
a good
company. They
product.
can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
If they sell bikes and they make a good product, I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't care.
Doesn't matter
just
to
make
me.
good bikes. That's all we want. It's just good bikes. We don't care if
I mean, don't be a dick to your people.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Or do, and then they'll just leave,
Yeah,
and then you'll go
valid.
under. I mean,
Yep.
the problem is self-sorting.
yeah, and that's how I feel about it. The problem's self-sorting. We don't have to worry about it. But
Yeah, that's not like why I buy something. Is because I think they have great corporate values.
you buy something because you want a good product for a decent amount of money.
And
You
it makes
want
sense to you.
That's it. So just if these brands would just start doing that, just make good products that cost a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
And I think they would sell well.
Well, and with cost becoming an ever-growing concern today in these climates, I think if they really wanted to double down on their whole thing, they need to come out with a sub $10,000 bike. And if they wanted to make it all in the US of A, that's even greater for
Technically, they have
turfs,
a sub
all that.
$10,000 bike. The new Nightster is now $9,999.
that thing's a piece of junk though.
But
they need to make a good bike.
I want a $6,000 Harley, an $8,000 Harley, sure. But
If they make the small engine,
if they could
yes,
target a six, yeah, and
6 to 8.
that's the thing is with a $6,000 price point, people don't expect a V twin. People
Yeah.
don't expect a big high performance engine. That's not what's required. Just because you put a Harley badge on the side of it doesn't mean you automatically have to have some huge V twin. You could get away, like I'm talking about, with a product that you made in the past. Just make another
Yep.
dual sport. And you don't even have to be that good of a dual sport. People will buy it because it looks like a retro thing and they won't even take it off road. They will just show up to their local bike night, to Starbucks or whatever,
Yep.
and talk about how cool their bike is.
Because it's sweet.
That's what cruiser people do. That's what Harleys are all about. Go to any kind of bike night and you're going to catch a bunch of Harleys sitting around talking about how cool their bike is.
I thought it was going from bar to bar.
Exactly, bar to bar, and they don't even hardly ride. They put no miles on every year, but they talk about how cool their Harley is and how they like to shine the chrome on it. Imagine that, but with a little dual sport.
Leave the
Yep.
miles to the Goldwing Bros.
So I feel like that's in my opinion, the best trajectory for them to start going on would be that sort of route. And I think that when they get rid of this CEO, it's going to be he's retiring and he's not leaving right now. He's staying on for X amount of time until they find a replacement.
He's
for
being
him.
given a golden parachute.
Yep, and I'm sure he's getting a huge severance package and all normal BS CEO crap.
Yeah.
He did a bad job, so they pay him a bunch of money.
To just disappear and go off into the sunset.
Yep.
So what do we want to see in a new CEO for Harley Davidson?
I just want somebody who recognizes that Harley doesn't have to be what traditional Harley has become. It doesn't have to be street glides and road glides and all these big baggers and touring bikes that they want to pump out. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be premium only, which premium only just all that translates to is expensive.
Correct.
They don't have to produce expensive bikes if they don't want to. They can produce whatever the hell they want. And because you put a Harley badge on the side of it, it's a trusted brand. So you can kind of get away with things.
Here's what I think they should do, because they want to, they're all concerned about preserving all of this, whatever that they're doing now, So, and they've done this already, by the way. They've done this in the past, so it's not like they don't understand how to do this. You have Harley Davidson, and then you create another brand alongside Harley. You could name it something like, I don't
Harley
know,
Davidson.
Fuel or Buell or Huel or something, maybe, you know. And then they can create those different product lines that, isn't a V-twin. Maybe it's just a single cylinder or, whatever they want to do. And then they can still preserve all of the things they're doing now, like they're doing now, for the customers that they do have and that do want that. And then they can have all that over here. And it can be, whatever, Jim Bob's Bikes by Harley or something. And then so it can still be recognized as a Harley Davidson, but it can be differentiated in that, hey, this isn't the traditional V-twin muscle. This is something new. And so they can have it both ways.
I think like the Pan America, the Bronx, bikes like that are built more modern. And
if they'd have come out with the Bronx, I might have been tempted to buy one.
Like when I say modern, I mean like, modern modular frames, like twin spar frames that aren't full perimeter frames. When I say modern, I mean like liquid cooled engines that produce way more horsepower per cc. Like your Asian brands, like your European brands, and they could have done that underneath a totally different brand adjacent to Harley, and then do my idea through the Harley Davidson name, do all like modern classics and retros and stuff, like how Triumph does it. Triumph has a whole, if you go on their website, they have like a whole category called modern classic, and it's their best selling vehicles, and they all they all harken back to a time that this current Triumph wasn't even a part of. Like Triumph went out of business in the 80s, like flat out were out of business. And then they got bought by some dude who moved them to a different city and reopened up Triumph motorcycles as a completely different thing in a completely different city. And they did that in the 90s, and they didn't even produce a retro bike. They produced basically like a Speed Triple, and they had a sport bike, the original Daytonas. They had all those sort of bikes. And in the early 2000s, they decided to bring back the Bonneville, and it was a huge success. They knocked it out of the park on that thing, because it looked like an old Bonneville, but had a modern manufacturing techniques. So it was a lot more reliable. And now the current Bonnevilles, they look like they're carbureted, but they're not. They're fuel injected. They look like they're air cooled, but they're not. They actually have a radiator on them. They're just really good at hiding it. The bikes are just brilliantly designed. So I really admire what Triumph has done with that. And I think Harley could learn a lesson and really use that to their advantage. They could build bikes outside of the giant cruiser.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that would work really well. People do want that stuff because you see Triumph, they sell really well. There's a couple other brands that have made, some of the Japanese brands have made some of those retro style kind of bikes.
The retro is big right now, and Dual Sport's big right now.
Dual Sport's big because, everybody went really hardcore into ADV, and then they all found out exactly what we had been talking about all along. It's like, big, huge, heavy off-road bike, not so good on the back and on the legs for very long. So they're all going back to smaller and smaller displacements, like the KTM 390, the ADV 390 was a huge, huge success. And it's like, man, you're really, really close. Like, that's basically just a dual sport at this point. Like, so we're back to the dual sports of the, the 90s and stuff when they were huge then.
Yep, and that's what I think is like Harley can make something like a DR650 and just give it like 70s style tank and fenders.
Mm-hmm.
And man, they'd knock it out of the park with that. Like, it would just be ridiculous how well it would sell.
Oh yeah.
I would be willing to bet money that that thing would sell well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Right now, if they had the product tomorrow and you could go buy this thing tomorrow, I think because of the current trends towards dual sport and everything, like, I really think it would be successful.
yeah, I do too.
But they'll
absolutely.
start thinking about it now, and it'll come out 5 years from now, and everybody's on their next thing.
And that's another great point, Nick, is as a manufacturer and as a trend setter, you can't look at what's on trend now. You have to look at
what you think is going to be on trend.
Well, not only that,
when it launches, when you're
you,
ready.
you don't think about what's going to be popular. You think about something I can build that will make itself popular.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have to give people a reason to make it popular, and like, well, that's what a trendsetter does. Is they take something that's not even a thing and makes it not only a thing, they make it to where everybody else wants it to be their thing.
Mm-hmm.
Harley needs to find that, and I feel like Harley is the type of company, stylistically, because no matter what you think of Harley and their motorcycles, they have a sort of coolness to them that not many other brands can replicate. Like, Honda isn't the first thing that comes to mind when I think of cool. But when you think of like the Terminator riding a motorcycle, what kind of motorcycle does he ride? He rides a Harley, and that was cool. Like, no matter what you think about a Harley Fat Boy, in the movie, it was cool that he rode that.
I don't
thing.
know. John Connor's bike was cooler than XR100.
The problem with that was it made two-stroke noises.
Yeah,
and
it made
had about
two-stroke noises.
Had about 14,000 gears in it.
We like two-stroke noises.
Well, I'm pretty sure the video footage of that bike riding, it must have been very difficult to get those shots of the XR100 outrunning the Harley, because an XR100 could only go like
45
maybe
mile an hour.
45 mile an hour, 40, 50 maybe on a downhill. And it's like, that was amazing. That was a good shot. And then when he jumps it off the bridge,
It's cool.
That's
like,
pretty cool.
It's just cool, man. And there's another side of Harley that I think the corporation needs to own, and that is and it's a current real popular thing. So Harley has been known to be associated with like outlaw and counterculture.
yeah.
That's something that Harley's kind of known to be associated with. And right now there's an outlaw counterculture that Harley's not associating with on any sort of scale. They're kind of shying away from it. And I'm like, they need to own this because it could be their thing. And that's there's all these stunners that are stunning out Harley Dynas, which are like, if anybody didn't know, Dynas are like these Harleys that they were around forever. And then they kind of ended them in like the 2010s. They kind of discontinued the Dyna. And I'm not saying bring back the Dyna. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is they need to own the guys that are that culture that's like stunting these things. These guys are all young guys that are taking these Harleys. They're jacking up the suspension, stretching them out, and doing crazy things to get them to where they can do wheelies and burnouts. And
Yep.
they're doing all kinds of craziness with them. And then they're painting them up all 70s style with like massive bass boat paint jobs and stuff. They're turning out pretty dang cool. And Harley's not they have a club style bike. It's the Lowrider S. It's their club style bike. But it's not extreme enough. And I think Harley just needs to own it. They need to have one out there in the world that has jacked up suspension, that's built like these kids are building them. Obviously not like so extreme they can't pass, DOT laws and stuff, but make them into
you can make it in a way that makes it easy to make it the way they want to do it,
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe you can't sell it that way, but you could engineer it in a way that made it easier for them to do what they
change
wanted
things.
to
Yes.
And I think that's another side of Harley that they need to own, because you can hop on the YouTubes right now and see all kinds of stunt videos of these Harleys, and these guys are not doing it legally. They're like traveling to cities. They'll be 200 plus bikes deep, and they'll be doing all kinds of raising hell, burnouts and wheelies and stuff up public roads. And I realize as a corporation, like, you're not trying to promote illegal activities, but at the same time, like you kind of built a brand on promoting illegal activities. You know, like the whole
That's true.
MC clubs and stuff like that. Like they're not known for being nice guys, and they ride Harleys. So that's your brand image. So just own it. Like it's not illegal for you to own that. Like just do it. And that's how I kind of feel about Harley is.
Like this.
Yeah, that stuff right there. That's exactly what they're doing, and they need to own that. And I really admire the guys that do that. I think
Yeah, it
it's
looks
super
sick.
It's super cool to like take a bike that's not supposed to do that and start doing that anyways. And they're doing it not only with the Dynas, they're doing it with big baggers. You can see dudes like
I've seen those before, and they fucking
dragging
scrape.
fender.
They have like 90 degrees.
Yeah, they're full 12 o'clock wheelies dragging fenders on road
baggers,
glides.
yeah.
An
Yep.
800-pound road glide. I'm like,
It's
how?
insane.
It's
And
awesome.
it's just like a small, like skinny ass kid like I am.
And what's hilarious
It's like, how
is,
do you move that?
have you heard one of those things banging off the rev limiter? It's like, that's something you never hear
I'm sure it's
at
aggressive.
bike night. It's like, dude, you're going to beat the hell out of that Harley.
I don't know. Has those engines ever been tested to operate at that angle?
No.
Constant rev limiter. Well, they're all dry
No.
sump, so that works.
Yeah,
for
but
them.
is the pump strong enough to do that?
I don't know. I don't know how
The
often those
pump
guys
usually
go
has
through motors,
gravity
but-
to help itself. If there's no gravity there, I don't know that it's got the suction
And
for
I
that.
also think about like Harleys are expensive. Like how are these,
Yeah, I know,
these
right?
kids like affording stunning out a Harley and then popping motors left and right? Like they're expensive, man.
You got to get one from Grandpa.
Like you can get old battle worn Gixxer for like $1,500 and stun it out.
no, you can't anymore.
Well, okay.
No,
well,
yeah, they're about $3,500
Even
bucks
if-
for a real ratchet one.
even if you're buying a $3,000 pile of shit, that's still way cheaper than a Harley. So
Yeah,
I don't know how these kids are doing it, but they're doing it.
got that
I admire
Instagram
it.
money.
They're on the talk.
So speaking of Instagram, that was today's topic to roll into it. And what I kind of wanted to do was just kind of.
Well, did we get all of our Harley Davidson grievances out?
Oh, did you?
I think so.
Oh, well then I guess we can move on.
I'm
Unless you got something.
satisfied. No.
You
I'm
sure?
just making sure.
Yeah, you got it.
I think so.
All the nails in the coffin.
Well, I think that them as a company, they don't have all the nails in the coffin just yet.
You're getting them.
Yeah,
We'll know
they're-
in 5 years.
Yeah, they're still
When we're about time for the
Living,
next
breathing.
CEO. They'll pick a new one. They'll have them for 3-4 years. Then we'll be on a new one.
That's
We'll
also
see.
that's another kind of indicator in a company.
Yeah,
when things
ha-
aren't going well, when they keep cycling
turnover.
CEOs out.
Yep.
turnover is like a really bad thing.
Especially executive turnover.
So on this topic, we're going to talk about something that I've been making fun of now for a little while, and I think that
Well, we also need to start an Instagram account.
we should.
I was thinking about that the other day.
We probably should. I understand the social media and the value in it for things like this, so we probably should. But the Instagram, I don't even know what to call them, models, Instagram biker people, whether it's male or female, it all kind of has the same sort of not only message but aesthetic and what they're trying to do. Obviously, they're trying to get views and likes and whatnot because that's the whole game you got to play on social media. But it's just hilarious to me. Like you'll see, it's either a roll racer, which to define a roll racer is like it's a person who takes typically a sport bike like a GSXR or a Yamaha R1 or any of that kind of ilk, and they stretch it out, which means to take
Hell yes.
to take the swing arm and lengthen it so they can move the rear wheel further rearwards from the bike, lengthening the wheelbase of the bike. And then they usually lower the front end. They'll use like these, it's a product, but it's just basically essentially a ratchet strap that holds the suspension in really tight so the front end sits low. And they'll even go as far as removing one of the front brakes because
Hell yes.
normally on these bikes there's two front brakes, one on each side of the wheel. They'll remove one of them from one of the sides of the wheels. They'll do like an insane amount of modifications to these things. And then what they'll do is they won't do any sort of sanctioned racing because they're not
Hell
good,
no.
they're not good riders and their bikes aren't that fast. But they'll go out on the highway. They call them roll racers because they start at 40 miles an hour or so, or they call it a 40 roll. And they do a drag race with each other where they, instead of starting at 0 miles an hour, that's called from a dig, they do it at 40 miles an hour and they go. And then they just go as fast as they can go, 200 mile an hour or whatever the maximum mile an hour is. And then whoever wins is, whatever, the winner of that race or whatever.
Can we do this on scooters?
Yeah, we can. We can roll race on scooters.
Hell yes.
It'll be the least exciting roll race.
It'll be the most exciting.
Well, it'll be exciting for you because you'll win because you have the biggest scooter.
Exactly. But it'll be fun.
So you'll see like these
It'll be
roll
hella
racers.
fun.
And what's hilarious about these roll races is I'm not even joking. Some of these dudes got near $100,000 in these things.
Yeah, like think about specifically the Hayabusas. People do that too.
Well, usually
With, like
it's-
the custom paint job.
like V4 Ducati Panigale V4 RSs. Or,
I've never seen a stretched Panigale.
Yeah, you haven't seen one?
No.
Look at the roll racers. They got them, man. And
Yep.
and then the S1000s that I see all that are all roll raced out.
I've seen a few of those.
But there's plenty of that out there, and it's an Instagram thing.
They get berated on the BMW S1000RR owners group on Facebook.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, there's a lot of sections of the internet that make fun
Almost
of this.
as bad as the people that buy the Chinese mid pipes.
And so they'll have like $100,000 in the bike. Let's just spitball. They got $100,000 into this. Original MSRP was $20,000 or $25,000 or whatever, and they put all this money into the bike, trying to build it up to get it to go fast. And then they don't even go to a real drag race. They do this thing that's unsanctioned, and they don't win any money. And all the gear that they wear is their jeans, their T-shirt. They'll wear. I've even seen some of them wear gauntlet gloves.
Goggles.
No, they wear a helmet because what kind of helmet do they wear?
Ooh, is it a Pista?
It's an AGV Pista.
That's right.
$2,000 helmet to not wear any other gear. Oh, they will wear like the Dainese torque boots or whatever.
Well, only if they're the neon green
gotta
or
have
the white ones.
Gotta have the neon greens or the white
Not
ones.
the normal colored ones that I own.
I'm like, what is the point in even wearing? That's like, if you're not going to wear the rest of the gear, none of that stuff matters. If you go down doing 150 plus mile an hour, you turn into a red crayon at that point.
I saw one where the guy was wearing normal pants and it just like ripped right through the ass of his pants and his ass was burnt too. And I'm
Oh,
like, you're
yeah,
not
dude.
going to sit down on anything for the next 2 months.
Imagine his showers for the next 2 months.
Oh,
So those sort of Instagram, and then you have the moto thoughts, which are like these.
the ones where like they can't zip up the jacket past their huge ass tits.
Yeah, and they let all of that just pour out of the jacket because they bought a jacket 3 times too small,
Yes.
and they mount a camera on the tank of the motorcycle,
So it's just tits.
and they go riding around so you can watch their tits bounce, or they mount the camera on the tail of the motorcycle and point it at their
Their
ass,
ass.
so you can watch their ass bounce
Yup.
while they wear yoga pants.
Well, I mean, they're probably Kevlar yoga pants. Come on now.
And the thing about that is it's so one-dimensional. You know what I mean? Like, that's all they have to offer the world because their riding is terrible.
I've never. Well, I don't know if I've ever seen one
If
go
you
on
ever-
a track.
Could you
There's
imagine?
probably one out there somewhere.
Could you imagine watching their video for more than 30 seconds?
No.
It's the same thing for like 8 minutes.
I bet there's a lot of people.
There's a lot
that
of
watch
money in
all
that
of that.
too.
And
Oh, yeah.
that's the thing. They got millions of views, millions of followers. And I'm like, I'm so disappointed in my gender, my sex.
Well, we don't have tits, so nobody's gonna watch us.
So what the Instagram men do is they either do like the roll racing thing, like I said, or they're street Rossies. That's the other common thing. The biggest one to bring here, and I'll straight call him out because I don't care, is Max Wrist. These are the street Rossies that, I mean, I bet you if I went out on a racetrack with Max Wrist, I'm not saying that I know I would beat him in a race. I don't.
Well, doesn't he try and make people crash?
I don't think he tries to make people crash. I think I think he has a reputation of riding like he rides, which is just absurd. It is like way harder than anybody should ever ride on the road, on the public streets. And he's crashed a lot.
He's been like life flighted multiple
times, and he's destroyed many motorcycles, mostly BMW S1000s.
That's right.
And
Keeping your value up.
every time
That's
that
why
he
my
does,
insurance is so high. Thanks, Max.
he gets
Appreciate you.
he gets a GoFundMe like every single time, and his viewers buy him another bike, which I think that's not super cool to do to people. But and he's got some sort of history outside of his YouTube shenanigans. He's got some sort of legal troubles that I won't go into because I don't know enough about it.
I might have to Google that because I know nothing of that.
Yeah, if you Google it, you're in for some sick accusations, like some grape and some philia of the pedo kind.
Oh my!
And
really?
And some other lewd acts between two gentlemen. So there's all kinds of wild accusation, and these are all court proceedings while he was in the military, apparently. But again, I don't know anything about it, like enough about it to really comment on it. So I don't feel like making wild accusations about that on my own. I just know that those are the rumors that are out and about and around town. But what I do know is I know the way he rides, and I know he rides that way for views, and it's obviously it works. But I also think it's irresponsible of him because now people are going to try to emulate him.
Yeah, sets a bad example, I think.
Oh, this is really aggressive.
Did you find it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's look out. And again, I don't know if they're just wild accusations or
Well, that's pretty.
If
those are multiple facets of out there.
Yeah. So if those are true, he's a monster. If those are not true and they're just wild accusations, that sucks. So I don't really know. And what I can gather is outside of those wild accusations, he doesn't have any other kind of turmoil or weird stuff going on, other than like what you'd think. He gets speeding tickets and he's involved in wrecks. So there's
I almost got a speeding
stuff
ticket.
like that. I mean, who hasn't gotten a speeding ticket?
Up until like a month ago, I hadn't. Well, I technically haven't. It wasn't a speeding ticket.
I have had a lot of speeding tickets in my life, but
My insurance, I can only imagine.
so what have you guys noticed about like these generic Instagram folks, whatever,
Well, I don't know. I feel like
Instagram
they're just.
bikers?
Do we think they're just being fake
Oh, absolutely.
for the purpose of being fake because apparently that's what people want to see?
Yep, it's a catering to what sells, and
And-
that kind of stuff sells, so that's what they're going to keep doing. I mean, I can't blame them for doing it.
And I don't understand why, like, at work, this week at work, I had two different gentlemen who were approximately late 20s, early 30s, walk into my store asking if I had any Gixsters for sale
Huh.
and wanting to know, when I said, well, no, I don't sell Suzukis, so I don't have any GSXRs. And I said, anytime I get a used one in, they sell within 24 to 48 hours. So I wish I had more of them, but I can't keep them on the floor. They sell out so quick when they're used.
Do you
But,
still have the S1000?
No, I sold that to some guy in Miami, Florida, who I believe is going to Instagram it
It's exactly what I was thinking.
because he lives in Miami. And just
Yep.
just talking with him, man.
What else are you going to do in Miami?
He's something else.
Well,
man.
there is a nice racetrack down there, isn't there? Homestead, is it?
Yeah, that's down there. There's another racetrack down
One
there.
of my
I can't
neighbors
remember.
told me about that because apparently my neighbor, he used to live there, and
All of the
track
asphalt
bikes.
down there is just like Jennings, so it's like
yeah,
it's like really aggressive asphalt, tears tires up. So yeah, What were we talking about?
Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah. And I don't know, man. Like, oh,
But
the
do you
two-
think
the
it's
two
do you
gentlemen
think
that
it's
came
bad
in,
for motorcycling?
they came in, and I wasn't thinking about them asking about Gixxers. The next thing they asked me after I told them I didn't have any Gixxers, they were like, "Do you have AGV helmets?" And I was like, dude, I know the formula. I know what you're trying to do here, but no, I don't carry any of that, and neither does any local shop around here. Like, I'm just going to keep a wall that has $100,000 worth of helmets on it that no one's going to buy because I don't have the specific graphic they want. Like, no business in their right mind's going to do that. Like, I'm not carrying that crap. If you want one, I'll order one for you, but I'm not putting it on my wall because then I got to have a whole size run. A size run costs like $20,000, and then I got to have each graphic for it. So yeah, like it's pretty easy to put $100,000 of helmets on my wall. People don't realize what, just to sell you one at a discount? No, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's ridiculous. So yeah, I've noticed that becoming more prevalent. And do I think it's bad for motorcycling? 100%. I 100% think it's bad for motorcycling. It's douchey. It promotes riding like jackasses. It promotes looking cool over being cool. I don't like any of that. It's fake. Like, it's just not good for motorcycling.
I would agree of all of those statements, but I would also say, would you rather have a fake motorcyclist on the road or no motorcyclist?
No.
You'd rather
Because
have no.
fake motorcyclists still buy motorcycles.
As a guy who sells motorcycles, yeah, I'd rather have them
You
out
probably
there
sell to a lot of people like that.
because of people who I like to ride with, we're very far and few between. I recognize that, and as a business, yeah, I want more people riding motorcycles.
And let's be real here. Of the type of riders that we prefer to ride with, you know, not even saying skill level, just talking about like the content of their character in which you would want to ride with them. Those people are probably a very small section of already a very small section of motorcycle riding. I don't think there's any world in which only those people would buy enough motorcycles to prop up any motorcycle manufacturer.
Yeah. But I would say right now, the thing that's propping up the entire motorcycle business is new riders, weirdly enough.
yes.
Like,
And a large section of those new riders are not going to be the kind of riders that we want.
yeah, they're not the type of folks that I would prefer to ride with all the time. Like, I don't mind
Yeah.
riding with new riders. I just don't want it to be my entire riding
It gets boring.
career. And like, anytime I go out for a ride, I have to ride with new riders. That would not be fun. I would want to ride for me, and I'd like to ride with my buddies that I respect, and I like that we're all, you know, on some sort of similar level. That's really fun. But every once in a while, I'm happy to go out with some new riders and like show them a thing or two, or just stuff that I know, and that's super cool. I just don't want it to be every time I go ride. So I appreciate new riders being out there. One day they might be folks that I like to ride with, and that's, you know, that's hopefully what we're going to build them into. But I see so many people that are new riders that only have a desire to look like the cool guy on Instagram. They don't care about wanting to learn how to do this properly. And because they don't have that desire, they end up having some sort of issue. Like, they have a crash, or maybe it's not even a bad crash. Maybe it's just a little get off or whatever. And now they're going to quit riding motorcycles forever. And it all stems from, they didn't want to do it the proper way. They just wanted to look cool, like the cool guy on Instagram.
Well, and that comes down to education. You know, there's a level of education that I think is absent in the industry. And you're always going to have like trends or, you know, like Instagram stuff where people are going to want to do those kind of things that they see. So what needs to happen is the things that you see, the advertisements, basically, if you want to call it that, need to be changed in a way that promotes good behavior.
Yeah.
Not even necessarily that you have to be this crazy, ridiculous, strong rider,
No, not at all.
but you just need to be like a smart rider, and you need to have the proper skills to be able to handle the motorcycle correctly and to do the things that you need to do to keep yourself from getting hurt. You know, wearing the proper gear, and you don't have to have crazy expensive gear.
No.
You can buy cheap gear.
I wouldn't say cheap. I would say
decent,
affordable.
Affordable.
Gear.
Yeah,
Affordable
affordable.
gear that's good quality, and you don't even have to spend a ton of money. You can find like last year's
You can
blowout,
find discounts on everything.
and it's still a perfectly good technical piece of gear. It just whatever, it isn't the current style or it isn't the current cool color or whatever.
Even if you have
who
to get
cares?
secondhand gear.
Yeah, secondhand gear, that's fine too. I probably wouldn't go secondhand on helmet, but like
No, I wouldn't do
No.
pretty much anything else, like secondhand gear is fine. Like it's no problem. Buy a pair of boots secondhand that are in good shape. Absolutely do that.
Yep.
Like, but I wish it was, and I know this is impossible, but I wish it was cool. Like it was legitimately cool to like educate yourself and learn how to do this motorcycling thing
Yep.
better and then work and progress and become better. Because the thing is like you might think max wrist is cool, but what the thing is like he actually has some skill. Like he can actually
yeah.
go pretty
Yeah.
quick.
Well, you have to have the skill to do that. That doesn't
But-
make you smart. That doesn't make you a smart rider.
But
though.
he's spent years refining that. You're just seeing the end product of it on his channel. And
Well,
what you
and-
don't see is the struggle of the come up. And
Yeah.
a lot of people don't realize that. They just want to go straight to being cool. And it's like, well, no, it takes
Yeah.
years to get to that level.
Nobody just hops on and is, like amazing at what they're doing.
And the only person I've ever seen do that was this one kid.
Me.
No, his name is Fabio. No joke. His name is Fabio.
Fabio.
He lives local here in Cincinnati. He's actually a really good dude. Like he really is a genuine good dude, and he is fast as fuck, like stupid fast. But he grew up motocross racing, not just he didn't grow up riding dirt bikes. I've heard so many people like, well, I used to ride dirt bikes when I was a kid, and then they can't ride worth a shit. No, this dude legitimately is like a competitive motocross racer, and if you see videos of him motocross riding, he's legit. Like he's quick on a motocross bike. So his first time he stepped over onto a sport bike, he had a GSXR 600. He was like fast, and he went to the race. His first time on one was at a racetrack, and he spent the first session in novice, and then immediately got bumped to advanced. And not only did he go in advanced, he was running like fast times in advanced. Like he's legit fast. So he started racing like immediately after his first track day, and he ended up like yard selling the thing. Dude, in the video of him yard selling his Gixxer, this thing gets like probably 30, almost 40 feet in the air. Dude, it launched to the moon. It come completely apart. Frame broke in multiple places. There wasn't a usable piece left on the bike.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So he kind of quit riding that kind of stuff. And I think he rode a street bike for a minute, but it's just very expensive to fix bikes like that all the time.
Yes, it is.
So he's like, nah. He's like, I'm gonna chill out and just do dirt stuff.
Yeah, dirt bikes crash a little better.
Yeah, they crash back.
So, I mean, speaking of Gixxers, did you find us some clapped out Gixxers from the Facebook Marketplace to review?
Not Gixxers specifically.
I'm excited.
Travis,
Help Aaron use the computer.
I got to pull the mic up to where it can get me here.
Oh
So I
my
can operate
God,
this
what are
thing.
you doing? Have you ever done this before?
No. So this first one up, it reads, it's a 2002 R1000.
What make
Please
is that?
read. Did you read it? It says 2002 R1000. Please read.
Well, but is it like is that a Honda? I
No,
mean,
it's
red.
a 2002 R1000. Please read. That's the title to the ad.
So is an R1000 not a real bike? Is that what you're telling me?
Quit doing computer stuff on my computer. So I'm going to read you this description. Bike needs a stator. The stator bolt is stripped. Also needs some plastics eventually. C-Pix will run with battery, but only as long as the battery will run it, period. That's the first period so far. It has both brand new tires.
Capital
Period.
B brand.
Yeah, it has both brand new tires, C-Pix. 3,500 firm. I will not take less.
Standard price for all bikes now.
I have the new stator and bolt. You just have to get the stripped one out.
So before you scroll down, what brand of tires do you think are on this?
Linglong doesn't make motorcycle tires, do they?
Well,
They're definitely Shinkos.
you think they might be Shinkos, but I don't. I think this gentleman most likely
Metzeler.
is a patron of the Asphalt Junkies race shop, and he's probably got a set of Dunlops on there.
Some dun flops.
Would be my guess.
Look at all that tread, though.
Oh God, no! What are those?
I have no idea what that. Oh no,
Is that mounted the proper direction?
it is. Those aren't Shinko Raven 008s. They might be though.
Oh, look at that Is that a Leo Vinci?
No.
No, I have no idea what that is.
Devitt?
Devitt or something. To be fair, that could be an old school brand because this
Yeah.
bike is a 2002. Now, here's what's bad. This is a Yamaha R1 from 2002.
Is that a piece of tape? Yellow tape on the side?
That's where it might need the new plastic soon.
I think it's a stain because that looks rusted.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna say, like,
and
is it a
water
rust
dripped down
stain?
and it got a rust stain.
Might be.
So it's stunt setup. Is that a
Nah,
stunt bar?
I don't think it's a stunt bar. I think that's a just a frame slider. So this is a 2002 R1, and what's sad about that is, as a gentleman who comes from that time period, these were like very special motorcycles. They came out in
I'm sure.
1998, and they were kind of the first ever modern sport bike.
Mm-hmm.
They really were an important bike in sport bikes. The 1998 R1, and then in 2002 was the last year of this body style. And it's sad to see it in this state because it really is a special motorcycle.
I will say he gets a point though for having a pitbull stand.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
didn't see
true.
that. Yeah, that's a good.
I only
good
have
call
a
out.
Harbor Freight.
It has a giant. I wanted to speak on the sticker here on the mirror tint screen.
Yeah, fork it.
It has a fork it
A
sticker,
man forking the it.
and then we got some sort of like American flag, probably some sort of like
America.
thin blue line kind of crap on there. So
Ex-police officer.
that's on there. It looks like the seat's covered in something. Might be.
I think it's just wet. He probably
Moist.
you see the ground is wet. He just washed it. That's why it's
Yeah.
so shiny.
Yep.
It's washed.
Fresh washing.
The rims have been chromed.
Hell yeah.
Everything is slap out on the thing.
It's just, the poor thing has had a hard life.
It's
It
got
is-
passenger pegs, but it has a seat cow.
It is. It's rough in every way.
It doesn't know its identity.
What's funny is these R1s are growing in value if they're in good condition.
Oh, I'm sure.
On Iconic Motorsports, they've been going for like $5 to $10,000 depending on the condition.
Yep.
This one would not go for that amount.
I hope that's a Rick's Motorsport electric stator.
I would guarantee it.
And that bolt.
So, anyways, that's the first one there.
Okay. I mean,
Next up, you're gonna really like this one. This is a 2020 Ice Bear trike for $2,400.
They even made a trike.
Oh, just wait.
but why do they put round tires on it if it obviously doesn't lean?
Well, let's get into it. A 2020 Ice Bear trike originally ordered through Cajun Mad Dog.
Who is that?
I have no idea. It costs $3,000 new.
That's cheap.
That's their current price because they cost $3,000 new currently.
Well, he wants 24.
With a 150cc GY6. Okay, so when you buy one new from Cajun Mad Dog, right now they're $3,000 with a 150cc GY6. He wants $2,400 for this 5-year-old one, but his reasoning. Let's go. This one was upgraded with a David Bullock 205cc GY6 with CVT upgrade that cost
CVT upgrade.
$1,450 in 2020. The rear rims have been upgraded to rock stars. You heard that right. Not the drink, the rim.
Oh my.
with the stretched tires. You were asking about why it has like, the rounded motorcycle tires.
Yes.
Because they're stretched.
Oh,
Like the
God.
Volkswagen Bros did.
All right. So
Well, now they're putting tires on that are smaller than the rim, so that the actual bead is sitting like out there.
It has a new battery, which, I mean, you would hope it has a good battery buying a motorcycle. The only problem I know of is a weak starter. It cranks hard.
What does that mean?
Does crank hard, isn't that a good thing?
That means it needs another battery.
It fires and runs.
Well, no, they pushed the motor too big, and the starter didn't have the power to turn the thing over.
It's completely street legal and taggable. It has been down the tail of the dragon
As evidenced in picture.
and attended the Smoky Mountain small bore events. The gentleman who's riding it is
Large.
he's a gentleman, and he's
A
looking
lot
like
of gentlemen.
Look at those shorts.
he's looking like he's having a great time. He's wearing his
Are those cargo shorts?
they are.
Do you think he has a brick in there?
He's carrying whatever he wants because cargo shorts can just
Well, you can see it, the giant bulge sticking out.
they're the
That
SUV
he's
of
got some
pants.
cargo.
They
in his
are.
shorts.
Yeah. And then he's got his 5/8 helmet on, which any respectable trike rider will wear.
That's more than 3/4.
His champion shirt,
5/8.
wife beater.
Or less than 3/4.
Yeah, it's less than 3/4. See,
I
it's
would have
5/8.
I would have just called that a 3/4 helmet.
No, that's incorrect. 3/4 helmets go down further. This is a
Yeah.
5/8. Get your terminology correct. Jesus Christ, Nick.
I know, I'm an idiot. I'm uneducated. I'm a child.
Here we get
Wow,
to
look
see
at that on the side.
We
that
get to
looks
see the
totally
left
different.
side of it. It's got all the gold touches here, and I think those are the same shocks you use.
Is that the
on
frame
your,
of a Honda
on your
Ruckus?
Scoot.
They absolutely are.
It literally looks like a Honda Ruckus.
Well, they're a Honda Ruckus copy, yeah. And here's the right side of it with the M4 exhaust. I like that touch.
Yep, right from eBay.
I mean, like, you could
So
ride that through Walmart.
what I'm assuming here is that there's lots and lots of eBay touches here. Like
Yes.
the mirrors, the shocks,
Look at the gold
the M4
forks.
exhaust.
To be fair, it's an ice bear.
He didn't buy it from eBay though. He could have bought it from eBay. Probably would have saved some money.
He bought it direct from a Chinese importer.
So now it's going to cost
Oh, look at them
145 times more.
Look at those cruiser grips on there and the Z bars, and now he's got look at that rear end. Oh man, this is just a specimen.
Where did all the plastics go? Certainly,
They didn't come with it
They don't-
because here's the killer. He includes the original photo from the purchase. This is what it looked like originally, brand new.
that one looks better.
It had fenders on it.
It had wider tires in the rear for better traction. He took
Yes.
traction
Well,
away.
Those are like car tires. They're not like motorcycle
As they
tires.
should be, because the thing doesn't lean over.
So you get to see, it's called the 150cc Mad Dog Trike. And you get to see the description from the original manufacturer.
Well, it
or-
does say some parts might be
The
slightly
current
different.
batch does not come with cup holder. Fascinating.
specifications.
He said they're
3,000
$3,000.
They're
It's $2,900.
What the heck?
It's a QMJ Zingbow.
But we do get a bonus picture at Deals Gap.
I hope that this one was one of the ones that was featured on like Killboy's
This is an older picture
daily,
because he doesn't have the
site.
bars. He's got the he's got the drag bars on
Yeah.
that one.
But he's
Interesting.
wearing the same thing.
Let's see what.
Well,
what
they're the same photos, but
He's still
See,
very
this one he's
large.
got the apes.
This photo is different. Yeah,
He's got the
these-
apes and
The
those.
static photos.
yeah,
are
he's got the
different.
drag bars in that.
Oh
one.
yeah, different
Yeah.
angle.
Yep. So when he was at the Gap, he ran the drag bars because obviously.
But can 150 cc's move that much human?
What's 205 cc's?
Yeah, that's
Well,
why
he bored it out.
He did the upgrade.
Yeah, he had to use that so it could move. The mobility scooter.
I mean, it's fitting. He is a handsome man.
Fascinating.
He paid $3,000 new,
Yep.
and then stuck what $1,400 into it.
So all in, he's got maybe $5,000 in this thing.
Guess what you can buy for a little bit more money?
What's that?
A Can-Am 600.
Yeah, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
You can get
You
the
can get one of
Riker.
those for like $6,000.
But
Grom.
he didn't want that. He wanted an Ice Bear, trike.
I mean, a man wants what a man
Are
wants.
these bikes local?
These are out of Cincinnati region. You're correct.
God, that's from here.
So we could go get one.
Well, I
of
was
these.
gonna say
that's a
this
shame.
this Grom that you pulled up, it looks familiar.
So this is a 2020 Honda Grom that they are asking a cool $5,000 for. I do believe they're less than that brand new.
It's a little. Well, I think they're about that new.
They're
5?
They're
They're that
Yeah.
much now?
they're under 4 new.
No, they're not.
The MSRP, yeah.
Well, didn't they start at
No.
like
No,
2,600?
they're like 3,800. No, originally they were like 3,400, I think.
Not anymore. They're not.
They're like 38.
I think they're like 5 now.
You're wrong.
Probably.
So it's got a custom mint paint job. And they're not saying mint like if you squint, it's
no,
mint.
it's the color mint.
This
the color
definitely
mint.
is a squint. It's
But
mint
it looks
deal.
a little bit more turquoise than it is mint to me.
I would agree with that. Yes, I think more mint has more of like a greenish hue to it.
Yes.
And this one does not. This is definitely more of a bluish hue. In fact, you could get away calling this paint job Ice Bear if you really wanted to.
Absolutely.
So it's custom mint paint job, Vance and Hines exhaust,
Hell yes.
intake flashed, ECM,
do you flash an
Motu,
intake?
rear sets, fatty wheels and hubs from Howling Moto, new
And
bars,
AN hubs.
Vans, waffle grips, Yoshimura, fender delete, TST Industries, taillight, flush mount turn signals, Monster Eye, headlight shortened kickstand, has been stretched and lowered, breakaway levers,
Stretched
cheeky seat
Grom.
cover, sideways, license plate, holder, brand new tires, 978 miles, 0 miles, on fresh oil change and screen filter, period. Now I can take a breath.
That was a lot.
No trades, won't respond to, is this available?
But I need to know if it's available. Oh man.
So there she is, boys.
Those look like scooter tires. Who
Oh, they very much
have you
are.
had those ones? Are those the Pirelli?
No, those are the Michelins. Michelin
City Grip.
City Grip or City Cross or something.
Have you
like
tried
that.
those?
I have not, but I
No.
bet they're good.
They want too much money for them.
Well,
they're
yeah,
just-
for a
it's
scooter
typical,
tire.
typical Michelin. They make great tires, but they charge for them. Yeah, so there you go. There's your Grom.
So this is a poor man's stretch jixer.
Like
Yes.
This is what you do when
No,
you
Travis.
can't afford
This
a
is for
jixter.
people that are vertically challenged.
I don't.
This is what you get
Stretch
instead.
jixter seats are really, really low.
This is what you get instead.
I don't understand.
I don't think this is any lower, to be honest.
I don't understand why in the world people are into stretching bikes.
I don't know.
Like for the same reason they buy pit bikes. Everybody's like hot. Well, I won't say everybody. There's a handful of people that I am affiliated with that like are
You
hot
need new people.
on these pit bike things.
Who are these
Well,
people? Do we know these
there's-
people?
There's some West Side.
Oh,
people,
that makes sense. Yeah, that checks out.
But they're hot on these pit bike things. Like they went out and bought like 5 of them at a time. Like just went to
Wow,
a
that's
dealership
a
and
lot.
loaded them up. And this was like during the COVID times or whatever. And they're like all about these things, and I'm just like, dude,
They're not that
these are
great.
cheap junk China kids dirt bikes that they just prop up on taller suspension.
Like a Grom is actually a pretty good amount of fun to have and to ride. It wouldn't be my only bike, but if it was if it accompanied other motorcycles in my garage, it would be a fun addition.
Yeah.
They really are fun to they're a toy is what they are, and they're fun like a toy. They're not really a good motorcycle per se, but they are fun to use. This one has been ruined.
Correct.
You stretched out a Grom, so now you took the only thing it had, which was playfulness, and you made it less playful.
Yep.
And now it has no purpose.
I just can't get over how big that muffler is.
Oh, so
or
big.
lack of muffler.
So big.
It is a Vans and Hines, so at least it's a quality brand, which
It's
means
gotta sound horrible though.
I bet you it doesn't. I bet you because it's Vans and Hines, it probably sounds okay, although it probably is a little loud because it's so short. And they put these like half-ass clip-on bars on, I'm guaranteed for the look.
Well, they look like risers that aren't.
They're like
risers.
Healy, they're like Healy bars.
Yeah, like they
They're
look. They
strange.
look weird.
The whole thing is weird.
And then
I
those-
just can't. I can't do stretching, man. Why? There's.
Yeah, there's no excuse for it. And I'm not saying physically stretching a motorcycle makes sense if you're building a drag bike. Like,
This is not a drag bike. It'll go like 3 miles per hour.
I know there's
You got to have like 800 horsepower before you need a stretched motorcycle.
well, you don't need that much horsepower, but like, you know, if you're throwing down 250 plus, stretches start to make sense. And there's guys out there like Chris Moore.
That's a real drag racing motorcycle.
Yeah,
like
like
it's
a-
built
like-
for a purpose. It's not built
So,
for photographs.
Chris Moore, who's like a world record holder, he builds a lot of different bikes, but his world record bike was a GSXR 1000 that was turbocharged. I don't know what kind of horsepower it made, and I don't know what the time he ran, but it was really, really fast, like 6-second time or whatever he ran. It was really fast, and he did that on a motorcycle tire, not on a car tire.
Yeah.
Really freaking impressive. I think he's never come out on his channel, because you can go to More Mafia and watch his videos and stuff, and he tunes bikes and stuff. And whatever you think about his tunes, I don't care. The proof is in the pudding. The guy has one of the fastest bikes in the world
yeah.
for drag racing. Like so he knows what he's doing. But that guy, I think he kind of makes fun of the roll racers, like I was speaking about earlier.
Yeah.
Because he went to a meetup where a bunch of the roll racers were, and he brought a bike that he had recently built. It was a Hayabusa, but the Hayabusa, I can't remember if it was the twin turbo bike or if it was just a turbo Hayabusa, but it was like a brand new at the time 2023 or something Hayabusa that he was making like 600 horsepower out of, and it was street legal. It had like full lights and regular fairings and mirrors and stuff on it. And he went to one of these meetups where all these roll racers were, that like all these roll racers, they'll talk about how much skill it takes to roll race, and they'll talk about like how fast their bike is. And then Chris Moore from More Mafia shows up on a real drag bike, and everybody's like, one, they're all scared. And
As
two,
they should be.
He goes out and gives them a few runs, because he's like, hey, look, I'm not trying to race you guys for money. I know I'll win. But if you guys want to run them just to see what a real fast bike looks like. And dude, his bike just destroys them. It makes them look so dumb.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because their bikes run like 10-second quarter miles, maybe 9-second quarter miles. And if they had a real fast one, an 8-second quarter mile, and this thing's a 6-second quarter mile, which is basically like double to triple as
rocket
fast.
ship.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, and he was having so much trouble just hooking up on the street, because the street's dirty and dusty and stuff. So he couldn't like even really lay into the power.
Oh, yeah.
Because he just kept spinning the rear. It's nuts. So that's kind of like why I make fun of the roll racers.
One more comment.
What's that?
They relocated the plate,
But they
to
left the
wheel,
plate up there.
But they left the
I was
plate
looking
holder.
at that earlier.
They left the plate holder, but they still have that goofy.
so
little
you could have
plate
two
bracket.
plates on it at the same time.
I hate these plate brackets. They're
Yeah.
terrible. And they a lot of times don't allow you to get the axle as tight as you need it to be.
Well, it looks like that one bolts onto where the axle nut goes, so I'm sure that's good for it.
Yeah, well, it is. That's where they bolt onto the axle. It's stupid. And the last thing, this is for Nick. This is for Instagram.
Ooh.
2023 BMW S1000RR.
Hey, I have one of those.
He's selling it for $22,000.
Oh my. What flavor is it though?
Selling my 2023 S1000RR, clean title in hand, M package,
So it's the white one.
carbon wheels,
Gross.
carbon everywhere. Bike has close to 4,000 miles.
So that was probably about like a $30,000 bike new.
Mods, Acra headers, SC Project, of course an SC Project slip-on.
Why do you get
Hand.
the Acra header and then the SC projects?
Because
Why
they
don't
all
you just
like,
keep going.
well,
Can.
Well, SC Project is like, it's part of that whole Instagram thing. SC Project slip-on, a Brentune Stage 2, which he just says a BT Stage Tune. But
BT Moto.
but I know that it's a Brentune. And so it's a Stage 2 tune, a Brentune Flapper Delete, a Brentune Velocity Stacks, Brentune IAT Relocation Kit, Brentune Block Off Plates. Now we're on to some other brands. GB Racing Engine Case Covers.
But
TS
why do you need all of that?
Well, the case covers I understand.
Yeah, and GB Racing case covers are actually
Well,
good.
but like
that's a legit thing. Like that's really good.
velocity stacks, why do you need that?
Well, that's got to
Again,
do with the tune.
Roll racers, because they think they need this.
Well, does it have a stretch on it?
Well, we'll see here in a minute. So he's got all that because that's what this guy needs. He needs more horsepower than the 208 or whatever the hell the BMW S1000 comes with.
205.
What it's way too much is what it is. So he's got all this stuff to make even more power. And then what else? We're GB Racing engine case cover, TST fender eliminator kit, quick release gas cap, which
Quick release gas cap.
obviously he needs that. A radiator and oil cooler guards. Well, that's legit. That's a legit thing. Frame sliders if you really want them, I guess. And a Louis Moto seat.
A what?
A Louis Moto seat.
I've never heard.
I wonder what that does.
I've heard of Louis Moto. It's just like a more.
Let's get to
cushiony
the
seat.
picture. I have high expectations.
And then he says still has some of the OEM parts. So here we go.
So that's not a Pista, is it?
Oh, that's a Pista, baby.
Ha.
So we got the AGV Pista. We got no other gear other than
Gloves.
a pair of gloves that have carbon fiber knuckles, and he's wearing regular tennis shoes, not real motorcycle
Does it say
shoes.
God is good on the windscreen?
It says God is good on the windscreen.
Praise the Lord. No mirrors.
Those
Are those?
kind of look like riding pants, though. To be honest,
If they
knees
are, I'd be-
bulged a bit.
Well,
If
it's
they are,
definitely
I'd be
not a
shocked.
riding Adidas shirt.
It's not a. Yeah, that is correct. Adidas does not make riding attire.
We got lots of stickers.
Are these winglets?
Those are the ones that come with it.
Are
They're-
they
they
are
come
they original?
black.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are original.
So there you go. You got it in the motorsports livery. He's got a bunch of carbon draped all over the thing.
The stickers on the bottom, those are not factory.
That's the original Super Corsa front tire. I don't know what that rear tire
No, that's not a
is.
Super Corsa. That's the weird,
Oh, the Metzler?
the Dunlop, the Sport Smart that I had.
That looks like
No,
the
that looks like a
Pirelli
Super
logo.
Corsa. That's a Pirelli logo, and that's
Right there.
for sure a
Oh,
Pirelli.
I can't see the tread pattern that far away.
God, look at all this dumb sticker crap.
They did not come with Super Corsas ever.
Then it looks like a Super Corsa front.
So that's the replacement tire.
Got mirror block offs because that's awesome.
Who needs
Yeah, who
mirrors?
needs mirrors
Come
when
on
you're
now.
going that
does
fast?
it have bar ends?
No.
Tell me, yeah.
It's
Oh,
got-
no,
no,
it's
those
got
are the
lever
lever
guards.
guards.
Lever guards.
Yeah.
You know lever guards. You're only really supposed to run the brake side. You're not supposed to run the clutch side.
Gotta protect my clutch.
And these are a requirement in some race organizations.
Yes.
But because they're on race bikes, all these street squids think like, oh, I'm gonna put, and they don't even know what they're for. Like they're so if you get tangled up with another bike, it doesn't accidentally hit your front brake lever.
Yeah.
But for some reason they're putting them on the clutch side. I don't get it.
Gotta keep the clutch engaged.
So yeah, that is your quintessential Instagram guy that I was harping on before.
I mean, for all the stuff in that bike, 22 grand probably isn't a bad price, but nobody's going to pay 22 grand for that.
look at the turn signals on this thing.
Yeah, that's the one that I didn't choose. I just chose the one that goes over the license plate.
They're just awful.
Those are really weird. Hold on. That does not look like real carbon fiber.
This?
Any of it. That and the top piece.
It looks like a film.
I didn't realize this thing was a touchscreen.
Boomer.
While
The color's off. So it looks one dimensional and the color's off. It's too bright. Real carbon fiber is like dark because it's deep and there's like a two-dimensional look to it.
That's like a
Remember
film.
Chris's bike, the new one he got that's got all the fake carbon fiber bits on it?
yeah,
Doesn't that not look exactly like the fake bits?
yeah. And it could be wrapped. And then he's got like
No, it's not wrapping. It's probably just like a hydro dip.
that too.
Yeah, like the parts that Chris has, they're hydro dipped to put that carbon fiber on.
This right here. This comes from the Wish app.
Hey, that's the same little biker you have on the back of the Kia.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I got
It
the
is.
sticker off a Wish app. That's how I know it's from the Wish app. But notice how it's not on my bike and it's on the back of my little stupid
Kia Soul.
$3,000 Kia Soul. So yeah, that's the end for that one.
Well, there were good photos.
I gotta
but,
say that's the best bike of the bunch so far.
he's not gonna get 22 grand for it.
It's
At least it's not stretched.
it's a legit bike.
At least it actually has what appears, at least in the title, as reasonably respectable modifications,
And-
like quality parts.
And you can unfuck a lot of it. So
Yeah.
Well, but the thing about it is he must be selling it because the Instagram didn't work out.
oh, you know what? I was gonna check. Well, yeah, that's what these guys do, and they get And these guys are always like the ones that like the
Will they do this and then they get their first couple payments and then realize that they can't pay for it?
No, he said he owned the title outright, which is par for the course. That's what these guys do. They own the title outright, and then when they want to brag about it, like there's some kind of big baller, and big ballers who actually have money don't brag about buying depreciating assets.
No.
It's like depreciating assets, like that's a fool's purchase, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you ain't got the kind of money to be, just throwing 20 some grand away, but that's basically what you do when you buy a motorcycle.
Like, I don't expect mine to be worth anything when I'm done with it.
Yeah, exactly. And as long as you're accepting of that, like I accepted that fate a long time ago, you buy a bike, you're going to lose a crap ton of money. It's not a good financial
Literally,
investment.
Cars, bikes, all that shit. When I buy it, I'm like, well, I'm buying this, and like it might not be worth anything when I'm done.
Exactly.
And that's just what you get.
You buy it to extract the value and the pleasure
The
out of
joy.
it. Yeah, the joy
Yes.
of owning it and doing the thing. And this guy, like, how wide is that chicken strip on the back?
Mine look pretty bad right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Look at the front one too. The front one's pretty good size too.
Yeah, that's a huge chicken strip. Yeah, those are definitely a Pirelli. I don't know what the back is. I can't see it, but
It's probably a. Can you get a picture of the sidewall?
I can't. I don't think that there's really.
That one right there.
It's too blurry. It's out of focus.
It does look like a Pirelli. I think it is. I think it's the
I mean,
matching.
Yeah,
I think it's the
would-
matching.
I
Tire.
wouldn't doubt it, but like this thing's got mile wide chicken strips, and you know dang well like he didn't buy this bike to ride it like it's meant to be ridden. He bought it to flex. That's all he bought this bike for.
Well,
Like,
that's why you put all the stickers on.
why does this gentleman need carbon fiber wheels?
Not many people buy them to ride them.
Yep, and that's
Here's
a sad
what I'm
thing.
curious about. So they don't come with those tires. They come with different tires.
So what
from
happened to the
factory.
first set?
Well, he had 4,000 miles on it, and a sport bike tire does tend to wear out in 4,000 miles.
I'm curious if, like, he had to go. I guess he went back to the dealership to have the tires done, probably.
Because you can't get
Because
the
there's
ones
very
that come
few
on those
places
brand
you
new.
can get
On
those tires worked on. 'Cause
and
they're
carbon
hard.
wheels, yeah.
Yeah, I know. At my shop, we won't touch them. I refuse. Like when we had that S1000 there, it had carbon wheels. It was a 21, and the customer, the who bought it, he asked us because it has some Michelin tires on it, and the guy was like wanting us to replace them. I'm sure he wanted some Instagram popular tires like the Pirellis, but
Don't be talking bad about my Pirelli.
hey, they're good tires, but.
You could get
You
a
know.
lot of tire for just the Corsa 4 price.
He wanted us to replace tires, and I told him, I said, I'm sorry, man, but we're incapable of doing carbon fiber wheels here. Like we don't have the machinery to do it.
I wouldn't want the liability.
And it's
No,
and it's not
either.
the machinery. The machinery is the same. I just straight up didn't want the liability, and I didn't want to tell him that. But like, yeah, I won't touch carbon fiber wheels because, dude, one little tiny nick in
It's
it,
toast.
and it's toast, and that just cost the shop $4,000.
Mm-hmm.
So no, we're not doing carbon fiber wheels. So I refuse to own carbon fiber wheels personally, just because I don't want to deal with the headache.
They just don't make sense. Carbon fiber wheels only make sense if you're like racing on the racetrack or something.
Well, they're not legal in racing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're not legal. In drag racing, they are. But
Well, why do they even make them?
because
They
do
look cool.
they do want them to get legal. There's like pushes to make them because apparently they really do. They weigh like half of what normal wheels weigh, and when you talk rotational mass and when you talk unsprung weight,
Yeah,
that is
for
massive.
racing. But putting it on a production bike that somebody can buy that's for the street, that's not for the racetrack, is silly.
Yeah, and it's dumb. It serves no real purpose in real world day-to-day stuff. But it sells bikes, and they get to flex on Instagram and dress
Hell
like this guy's
yeah.
dressed.
Well, they can go spend $200 to have their tires changed. Then,
Hell yeah.
200. It's gonna be way more than that.
well, I'm just talking install fee. That ain't whatever tire you decide. to
$100 a
purchase.
side.
No, I'm saying like at my shop, it's more than $200 to do non-carbon fiber, if they're on the bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just
Well, they probably don't know how to take them off anyways.
That's correct.
So that probably tracks.
Gotta take it to the shop to have the chain lubed.
it's got that endurance chain on it. He'll never have to lube it.
Nope.
Nope, never. Maintenance free.
Yeah, believe that when I see it. So yeah, that's kind of the end of it for today. What'd y'all think?
I thought it was great.
Oh yeah.
What did
That's
you
all I
think?
gotta say.